Okay, participation activity 1 wants you to find the radian measure of 3/8 of a full rotation. All right, let's go back to the definition about radians. It says up here, 1 radian is the measure of the central angle of a circle such that the length of the arc between the initial side and the terminal side. Okay, let's start with that right there. Okay, so you've got an angle here, all right? Here's an angle. And when they talk about the initial side, that initial side is usually measured right here. It's the horizontal, because normally when you measure angles, you use a protractor, but that only measures it in degrees. So anyway, it starts there, and then it says the terminal side. Now the terminal side would be this side, which is where it ends, because your rotation starts on the blue and rotates, and I can't show that with a pen, but it's like that horizontal line moves and it rotates so that it is now, it started where the blue is and it ends where the green is. And they're saying that, let's see, the measure of the central angle of a circle, and this would be this measure here, that's your central angle, such that the length of the arc between the initial side and the terminal side, the length of the arc, okay, that's this right here, the length of the arc. Can't really use a black pen. I guess I should, well, I guess I can, but it needs to be like a dotted. That dot shows that rotation, because this is coming out of a complete circle. And so when you have your initial side here and your terminal side there, this arc right here is, they're talking about the length of that arc right there. The measure of a central angle of a circle such that the length of the arc between the initial side and the terminal side is equal to the radius of the circle. Now, I don't know if you remember geometry or not, but the measure from the center to any point on the circle, that's the radius. And here's another point, that's the radius. And from here to here, that's the radius, and from here to here, that's the radius. It goes all the way around the circle. Okay, now, hopefully that makes sense. Now let's go to that second paragraph. Oh, it does say a full rotation is 360 degrees, which is the same thing as 2 pi radians, and of course a half a revolution would be 180. Maybe you've been doing 180s out in a parking lot somewhere when the snow is out there, you know, doing donuts. Okay, the radian measure. Now we're talking about the measure. I go to yellow here. The radian measure of an angle. And again, we're talking about this angle here, which I did put in pink earlier, but the angle measure here, but we're going to measure in radians now, is the ratio, and a ratio, that's a comparison of two numbers, and it's usually expressed as a fraction. So we're going to have the ratio of the length of the arc, that's what's going to go here, subtended, which means over top of, subtended by the angle to the radius of the circle. In other words, if S is the length of the arc of the circle, then I don't know what color to do it in, light blue, I guess. And R is the radius of the circle, that's what's going to go down here. Then the central angle containing the arc measures S over R radians. Okay. Well, first things first, it says find the radian measure of 3/8 3/8 of a full rotation. A full rotation is 2 pi radians, and we want to take 3/8 of that. So 3/8 times 2 pi radians. And of course, I can cross cancel here because 2 goes in itself once and it goes down into that 8 4 times. So this ends up being 3/4 of a pi radians. That is my orange. That is my measure of my arc length, because it's 3/8 of a full rotation. A full rotation is all the way around the circle. We just want 3/8 of it, which ends up being 3/4 pi radians. And then you have to divide that by whatever the radius of the circle is, which is the r. And of course, those r's are just going to cancel out. So I'm left with 3/4 pi. And I already went into Mobius and double checked it. And where was it? It was right there. And you can see my green box. So 3/4 pi, or 3 pi over 4. I wrote 3/4 pi. They wrote 3 pi over 4, or I wrote it that way. Write it either way. It doesn't matter. Type it in. That's your answer.